Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first edition of the Masterclass Future of Work. I'm Nicolas Sevani and LinkedIn Top Voice. I'm thrilled to be here with you today, alongside with my co-host George Kimmich from UK. Good morning, George. How are you?
Good morning. Yes, I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Very fine, very good, very good. I'm here from Paris. The weather is not so good. Friday for when we are in the
We've
week
got
of
sun.
tech.
We've got sun.
Oh, you have
We've got rain on the way.
fantastic, fantastic, George. So everyone here who is joining us from now, every Friday at 12 p.m. CST time, we'll meet here on LinkedIn Live to explore the latest HR and people analytics trend, not just the headlines, but the deeper insight that shape how we lead, plan, and connect in the workplace. Each week, I will bring you the freshest HR research and trends I share daily together with George, and we'll spotlight the HR news that truly matters right now. And as a gift, you will receive an exclusive Flipboard blueprints on each topic, HR topic that we will, deep dive together today. Let me clear, it's just not another webinar. It's a gold learning journey designed for HR students, CHRO shaping strategy, HR professional ready to lead the future of work. A quick reminder, if you miss anything, this session will be recorded and will be available later on the YouTube channel. Before we dive in, who is joining us today? Drop your location in the comments so me and George, we can see where you are joining us for this master class. George, you are from UK, me, I'm from Paris. So let's unpack this, week of insight together and look at what's happened this week. George, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Very good, very good. So let's, George, I would love to start with the shift that we have both seen and watching closely is a transition from what I shared, job hugging in the late 25, where employees clung to stability and what shaping to be the job hoping resurgence in 26. Worker, based upon some research that was shared, is staying put for now, but quietly scanning the horizon. Organization mistaking stability for loyalty. This isn't just a trend, it's a wake-up call, I guess. George, we will unpack this together. What does shift mean for the workforce, for the organization, and how can leaders prepare for a year where retention become the real battleground for us? What is your first thought about this
Yeah,
study?
that's very interesting because certainly in the UK,
Yeah.
last year the government actually hiked up things like national employers' national insurance, and we did see a lot of job loss in that because employers found it more expensive to employ people. Due to that, we did see a lot of job people didn't want to move on when there was such turbulence in the market. However, the last month or so, I've been talking to people. Certainly, a neighbour of mine 2 doors down is actuary, and what she was looking for was two things. The first one was further development. She's been in her job for 8 years. The job, some people loves the employer, but now feels that she's not getting the development on. And the other thing was that with the hike in prices, she wanted to earn extra, more money as well. So the two things that came in, there was development, and there was also she was looking for a better salary. But in looking for a better salary. She wasn't just moving from she was already in. She's actually taken a job, and that is the way in which she's going to get. So very much of it comes down to further development. I want to do better in my career, and if I do better in my career, then I'll get the remuneration that's. So there's things there that are being connected, certainly here in the UK.
Yeah. No, thank you, George, for this interesting insight about job development, career development that you highlighted. People, so this is the trend of end the year job hacking, but what we see based upon this research that was shared, that 26 will be job hopping, where resurgence will come in. So based upon my question that I just highlighted, we have Mata that she's joining from Athens, Greece. Welcome, Mata, and hope you enjoy this master class. Let's look at the other research that we did, the same research that I have share is why aren't you looking for a new job? So this research is showing that they are simply, and this is the right question, they are satisfied with my current job employer, and that's a good, nearly half of the people think that they are good, satisfied with the current job, they don't want to move on, right? So another one is, of course, there is the second point of all the findings is about salary, pay salary. They are satisfied, their pay salary, they are already 30%. They are satisfied, and what we are discussing just about this stagnation is about they are, and around 50% of the people take that it's too risky to take another job in this economy. As you highlighted, George, the economy, fear about people, take a risk to move on another job. That's interesting, I guess. 15%, they fear about moving another job. And when we look at more research about what's happened in the past year, people in this research highlighted that their company has fired or terminated an employee by 55%, and another high percentage didn't backfill a position left by departing employees. What is your thought about that, George?
Yeah. Again, I can only come back at the moment. As I said, we saw a lot of jobs actually being lost due to the policy on that actually increased the cost of employment. We've just had a budget 2 days ago. In the law within the UK, a company has to offer a pension to people. Yeah. And in the past, the company has been given a 40% reduction in the cost of national insurance against the cost of the pension.
Yeah.
That has now been reduced from 40% down to 20%. And I'm wondering if that is now going to have another knock-on effect on unemployment here in the UK. So,
yeah.
I'm not surprised by these figures. Fired or terminated employees, 54.8%, did not backfill a position left by a departing employee, 44.3%. I'm not surprised. And I'm finding that this is very much the case in smaller companies.
Yeah.
And also, you have to look at the areas in which a lot of these jobs are being lost, and are lost in areas such as hotels, restaurants, places where the employer feels they can't really hike up the cost supplying, the only way to cost is by letting people go. And that's going to affect the service delivery as well. And we're seeing it in shops as well. It's very much where you've got people that are facing the customer, and that's where the jobs mainly seem to be lost.
Yeah. No, mate, it's very interesting that what you're saying, because yes, this reduction will impact and the business, and maybe this is the business is asking, to reduce this. There is less demand, so automatically we will go, to have less, work, and so less people joining the company. So about the blueprint inside, so how we can, propose some solution for that is to move from reactive race to proactive recognition, build culture of appreciation before talent starts scanning the horizon, right? So another point is redesign work to protect balance. Don't just offer flexibility, embed it how work is structured, and surface hidden capacity. Look beyond job titles to uncover transferable skills and untapped potential. Use AI to amplify, not replace. Deploy smart tools to reduce busy work and free humans for high impact tasks. And another solution is plan for movement, not just retention. Create internal mobility pathways before job hopping become external. There is some such, advice that we can find based upon this topic.
I think when I look at these sort of things, I mean, I'm looking at culture really, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem in any culture is how far employers have actually integrated change with their employees. In other words, what I'm saying is, you need to be inclusive. You need to let the employee have a say in the change process.
Yeah.
I mean, the employee is more likely to see problems with the existing processes than the management, and that because they're using those processes day in, day out. If you want to improve things within an organization, then you have to allow employees to interact with the change process, tell you where the problems are with those processes, and to actually put forward ideas on how things can be improved. So it's very much a case of inclusion within the workforce. And I think that is one area that some employers are actually missing out, because they're almost forcing change through rather than listening to the employee to actually get the benefits of their what they're seeing on a day-to-day basis. So that's one area. The redesign of work, flexibility is great. Only thing I will say when we talk about remote and hybrid working is making sure that you don't create individual silos. Because if you do that, then you lose implicit learning, you lose development. So you need to be very careful how that is actually planned out and organized.
Absolutely.
So I'm just looking at Jose has said, are we not seeing the usual management problem, namely binary thinking? It's an either or situation. This applies in cost saving and change processes. Yeah, I would agree with that to a certain extent. But that's what we need to change. That's what we need to get employers into looking at how they manage their workforce and how they manage change and transformation, and making sure that people are included in that. making sure that, you know, there isn't, where possible, an amount of flexibility in the working arrangements.
Absolutely.
We've got a problem with AI as well, because not only do we have employers are having to bring about change through AI, but they're also having to bring about change through changes in the external environment as well. And it's very much a case of, and this is really where interaction with your employees comes in, because when you're trying to manage both of those things together, then you need as much information as you can possibly get, and the employees will see a lot of what's going on.
Absolutely.
And be able to give feedback.
Absolutely, George. And thank you, Jose, for your question. I would like to go to the second article that I have published, findings that I have published this week, is about keeping employees in the role, how we can improve. Companies can improve their retention, satisfaction next year. So, but now we need to ask what will keep them engaged and committed in 26, right, for next year. And data is showing very interesting part. Employees are asking for more than compensation, and they want recognition that feels real, work-life balance that is sustainable. That is just about perk, is about principle. So how can an organization redesign retention around what people truly value for them? And we will unpack, George, about these findings, about what is, the top, recognition about, and when you see, look at, what is the work-life balance, what is important for them, prioritization, two priorities, work-life balance, recognition. Is it surprising for you to have this?
I'm going to turn work-life balance on its head, because work is part of life.
Yeah.
So when we talk about work-life balance, I'm not sure that we're really looking at it as we should. I think perhaps what we need to look at is to say, okay, we know we've got to work, we've got to make a living, but do we have, from the employer's point of view, it's a case of, do we have the culture whereby people are going to feel included, they're going to feel that they get something from being in work? And I think when we look at that, there's a lot of things there that come out. I mean, can we provide people with more time? At the moment, with the way employers were looking at losing people, that's going to be very difficult, because you've got to make up that productivity somewhere, and you can only do it with the people you're left with.
Yeah.
So that is going to make it very difficult when we talk about work-life balance, because a lot of employers are not going to be in a position to give people what they want. What they can do is try and improve the situation within their work, so as at least they get something from that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely, George. But I'm thinking about the work-life balance. A lot of people think it's about flexibility, giving them flexibility, how they come, to the office, for remote working, etc. That's the part of understanding of what is work-life balance.
Well, if you're going to look at remote working and hybrid working, then you've still got to maintain the right culture whereby people want to work for you.
Yeah.
This comes back to the fact that you don't want individual silos, because if you do, you're leaving people out of the loop. They don't get the information they require. They don't get the development they require. If they do get the development, they're not talking to others to be able to put that development into the right context.
Yeah.
So not only does the organization lose out from that, but so does the individual. So it's a case of, yes, if you can allow remote working and hybrid working, I think that's great. It saves on traveling time, gives more time to the individual. But you've got to make sure that in doing that, you still have communication and collaboration across the board.
Yeah.
And that people are available at the time they're required to actually be able to share the learning that they're picking up. You still get learning when you're working remotely. You'll get it from customers, you'll get it from people that are working in light employment, maybe in other companies. You know, it's going to come in from maybe from suppliers. It's going to come in from all sorts of places. It might even come in through their own thought processes.
Yeah.
But that needs to be shared and it needs context.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, George, for highlighting that. So the blueprint for this is about work-life balance, as we have to to make sure that we are, taking the right definition of work-life balance. And of course, recognition is the top two priorities for 26. Another topic, George, I have shared, this week is about these AI-powered leaders. So this is a very, very nice description of how and really interesting insight that provided by Top Employers Institute. And what is the AI-powered leadership, first of all? And this is when the researcher describe as someone who integrates AI into their leadership practice, not to replace human capability, but to elevate it. But harnessing technology, they amplify judgment, empathy, and purpose. So these kind of leaders, what they call AI-powered leaders, bring together machine intelligence and human insight to build organizations that are both high-performing and deeply human. So they need to have, as you see in this, graph, these five, skills, I can say. So it's digital confidence, human-centered design, ethical stewardship, applied empathy, system awareness. So based upon these five pillars that researcher has identified, the threat for an AI-powered leaders is described, and they use AI to augment human potential. And what is interesting as well, they have found is that high profitability companies are near 7% more likely to use AI to enhance employee experience than lower performing competitors. And it's very interesting, George, for me, that this is a roadmap, I can say, that for companies, to build, more and more AI-powered leadership in the future and in the coming years. What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and the top part of that, and that's the digital confidence. First, I think perhaps it's not just leaders, it's everybody using AI need to be aware that if they're using the written word, then you're likely to have bias in there, and it'll be bias based on whatever the thought process is of the person that's written it. If you're using software solutions, the bias could well be in the way in which the software has been written and developed. You need to be aware that there can be bias, irrespective of what AI systems. It's Gen AI looking at, something I might have written. I'll guarantee there'll be something that I've written that has got bias in it because it's my thought process. And there's a need to look at that and make sure that you can eliminate that bias to your own context. And that's the same with Gen AI, or you're using AI solutions.
No, that's a great point, George. So digital confidence, as the researcher has explained, and we have put in the blueprint solution, is understanding AI well enough to question, evaluate, and they need to ask the right question with confidence. So what researcher has highlighted is HR can help by launch an AI fluency program for leaders. They can provide bit-sized learning modules to fit with day-to-day business realities about AI. They can host leadership roundtable on the potential and risk of AI, as you highlighted, George, is about bias. We have also the risk, cybersecurity, etc., about AI, and they need also to prioritize the development of leaders' judgment on AI use. It's very important, as you highlighted, George. This part is very important, that leaders' judgment needs to be taken account. Right?
Yeah, so I agree with everything that's going to say that the only thing that I would look at there, as I said previously, you're going to have employers that will be trying to introduce AI, which will bring about transformation. Also, trying to cope with transformation due to change in the external environment. And I think HR has a big, HR can play a really big part of that.
Yeah.
In place, systems to make sure that they actually interact and don't just go off in their own different directions.
Correct, George. So the second pillar is about human-centered design. So shaping work and system around people, not process. So what they suggest is about HR leaders can support by creating a cross-functional AI employees experience map. It's interesting, to have this cross-functional AI employee experience map. Identifying where AI impacts role and career journey. Again, this one is very key. Hosting organization design workshop with frontline leaders, co-creating process and embedded AI for autonomy, purpose, and connection, focusing on the definition of value of the organization beyond efficiency. I think it's difficult to put in place all of these, rules in place in one organization, but at least if they can put, one or two, apply one of two of them, it will be impactful. If we go for the third pillar, is about ethical stewardship, embedding fairness, transparency, and accountability into every leadership decision. And so what is about the role of HR is establishing an ethical AI framework for leaders to use throughout the organization, encouraging the design and deployment of innovative technology with this framework, prioritizing human centricity and evidence-based decision wherever there are ethical issues to be resolved in the introduction of AI, and adopting a long-term mindset of introduction of AI with a clear focus on the future ethical impact of policies proposed. So again, all of this list is, I think it will be very difficult, to apply everything that is written here. It's the ideal companies, I guess. George, what is your thoughts?
Yeah, I was just looking there about establishing an ethical AI framework for leaders to use throughout the organization. And what I think what you need to be careful of, and what HR needs to be careful of, is the fact that if you make a change in one area, it's likely to impact other areas in the organization. So we're coming to a point now whereby HR really needs to understand all aspects of the business and not just HR. Because if they don't, then they're going to find it very difficult to apply some of these. I'm just looking at Jose's just brought something on. It says the solution are all possible is the intent and desire to do these and do them with a human focus and engagement, namely involvement and collaboration and joint learning with employees, and how these will be integrated with actions and use of HR AI in the new jobs. This is missing. This comes back to what I said before, and that is there needs to be communication and collaboration across the organization from the leadership down, and communication and collaboration needs to be two-way, not just from the leadership forcing change on people, but leadership actually asking people, how can we improve the systems and processes we've got through the use of AI?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And thank you, Jose, as well. Thank you, George, for bringing these points about collaboration, involvement, and collaboration.
Well, thank you for the question, because it's very timely.
Exactly. Another pillar that was highlighted by researchers, George, is about applied empathy. We are in the world of AI, and we know that AI don't have these skills that us as a human we have is empathy, right? So is applied empathy, strengthening trust and emotional intelligence through data-driven leadership, piloting AI-powered coaching tools for leaders to improve the quality of workplace communication, using GPT-based simulator for sensitive conversation with employees. Very interesting. Providing a safe and confidential environment in which to practice skills, pairing suitable AI feedback with peer sharing learning among leaders to promote best practice and collaborative development of soft skills. It's really interesting, all of these suggestions by readers, right?
Yeah, I was just looking there about workplace communication. One thing that I think there are certain aspects of communication that are better face to face, and I think things like feedback. If you're talking to people about how well they're doing, then that needs to be individualized, and I think it's better face to face, because sometimes when you use AI-powered tools such as Zoom and that sort of thing, it can seem artificial.
Yeah.
And people tend to, you don't get the same feedback and the same collaboration. The feedback needs to be both ways,
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I think we need to be careful to make sure that there is a balance between what we communicate through AI and what we communicate face to face.
Absolutely. Very great point. System awareness, anticipating complexity, change, and context, and acting with consistency and clarity. So again, researcher highlighted about creating cross-organization forums to improve high level of awareness, bringing together diverse stakeholders to share experience and best practice about AI. I think that's a great idea, to bringing, all what has worked for them in terms of AI, and to share the best, results that can improve, in other areas as well. That's a great. Surfacing both good and bad AI impact on the workplace rapidly and adapting decision as a result. challenging functional system-wide assumption and bias and correcting them when necessary. It's important, George, when we, notice some bias in order, to have a correction way, as well, when it's in our hand, because to not, when it's not, as a black box, as I can say, and when we have a correction, to adapt this AI results, right? I think this is really great, uh, very great. I will, show you again before this AI powered leaders blueprints and pillar. The 5 pillars is great. Is a great, roadmap for people's, for leaders, to apply. I guess. Do you see any missing point, missing pillar that needs to be focused, George?
Well, when I look at that, I actually love this. I've got to say, I love it because, it does, you've got the digital confidence which is required. Obviously, you need to take out any bias in that. Human-centered, it's got to be useful to everybody.
Yeah.
Not just the leadership, but the employees that are using it as well. And getting that across to the employees is very important. They need to use it. It's no good just saying, oh, well, here's a piece of software, I expect you to do this. What are they going to get out? Make their work life easier. Is it going to help work-life balance in as much as, it may throw extra time that people can actually, there's all sorts of things that come. Systems awareness, we've talked about, needs to be a cross-function, because where you make a change in one place, it will make changes in others, and there needs to be feedback to see how change in one area is impacting in another, and what can we do if it's impacting so we're losing value through the use of AI. That's empathy. Yes, we know that there has to be a system of empathy in leadership, irrespective of whether you're talking AI or anything else, then which human performance will have an effect on the outcome and how much value you get from your workforce. And ethical stewardship, absolutely. We have to make sure there's nothing in there that will either harm the company or harm the individual. So I love it.
Yeah,
I really do. I think it's great.
Yeah, me as well. I really think that, as you describe everything that is here, we have empathy, we have ethical we have human-centric, we have system, we have digital, everything is there. So we validate both these blueprints. We love that. So well done. Well done, the researchers of top institutes leadership. So thank you so much, George. And we will include this blueprint solution that was provided by researchers in the blueprint. Next topic, George, we need to discuss is about well-being at work, right? So well-being at work by managerial level. So we see that there is a gap between the employees and executive. There is a huge gap between their well-being at work. So as you can see here, we have a huge gap between employees, top leadership, mid-level manager, frontline manager, and it's gradually different. So this kind of, gap, there is a clear, and if you look at the well-being decline year by year. So this one is for US, but when you look at the well-being since the pandemic, is going, it was going upper just after, and then it's going down and down. That's interesting, that the well-being is going down, but there is a dispersion as well. When the researcher look at the age group, they can see that people in the more they are, older, I can say, more their, well-being is going down. What is your thoughts, George, about that?
I think a lot of this comes down to human factors. And
Yeah.
human factors, is it a factor that within the organization that has caused a problem? Is it a factor external to the organization, or is it a combination? And
Absolutely.
how can managers actually manage those human factors? What can they do to make the better for their employees?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is what we come down to. I mean, when I was in the military, we actually had human factors training, and that was every year, because things changed. And they looked at what created problems for the individual employee. Look, if somebody has a problem on their mind, they're working in an area where health and safety is really, important, then it could have an impact on health. So, I think we need to look at what is causing the problems. What can we do? It may well be if it's something external, we may not be able to do a great deal about it, but maybe giving an ear to it.
No, that's exactly, George. What you are saying. It's related or non-work related. I would like, to split the well-being effort about that. What is the work related that the manager can, apply any change or any action in order to improve the well-being of employees? And some others, as you explained, is non-work related, the well-being, right? And they need, to look at that as well. Because a manager can have... Yeah.
Sorry, I think we may have just answered Jose's question as well, because he says, let's ask a question on leadership. Are leaders able to be empathetic, human, or are they focused on their personal needs and goals? And if so, do we need to change the way we recruit and hire leaders in this age of AI? Don't think it's a case of do we need change the way we recruit leaders. I think it's a case of we need to make sure that they are trained in human factors. Because wherever you look at, you're going to find a lot of leaders that are not, and probably never even thought of it.
Yeah. No, George.
So I think the training is important.
Training is important, George. But as we saw, and Jose also, highlighted, it's about empathic leaders. Empathetic leader is very, very important. We just look at, AI-powered leaders. Just before the subject before, it was empathy, one of the pillars of any leaders. I think if we have the leaders that they are empathetic, they can, improve the well-being of their employees. That's something is very important. And the key criteria for the leadership, to have it and to hire them as one pillar for each recruitment. George, what do you think?
But I still come back to the fact that, I believe that if you're employing empathetic leaders, they need the training to help them realize that they may find problems. We're all human beings. We'll have problems of one kind or another.
Yeah.
And,
yeah,
you know, you need to iron out those problems for people. But you're not going to do that unless you know how to do it. And unfortunately, people in leadership positions, however empathetic they are, often don't think about the human factors that can affect the individual.
Absolutely, George. Thank you so much. I will, provide our solution blueprint solution for this topic. Recognition and gratitude, embedded daily appreciation practice to buffer stress and build trust. Number two, inclusive well-being programs address disparities across gender, ethnicity, and sector with tailored support. Number three, manager empowerment, equip frontline leaders to close the well-being gap with empathy and flexibility that we just discussed, and a culture of balance between shift from work-life balance to life balance, as George highlighted, earlier about work-life balance, integrating well-being, meaningful work, and growth is the blueprint solution that we and George and me, we think that can be some solution for the well-being of employees, increase of well-being of our employees, but also close the gap between what we see in this research that is showing clearly here. And you see that in 2022, the manager level, the well-being was almost the same, but we see this huge gap in 2 years later. That's huge difference. And so, of course, we cannot, justify that, but there is this gap between some organization is showing there. And so thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, everyone, for this. I hope that our explanation was clear. We are going, to another topic. And I know that, George, you really like this topic. I have shared, this morning is about the workforce planning. And it was a fascinating, research and findings shared by Deloitte researchers is about 5 shifts for the future of workforce planning that they recommend to go with this, future workforce planning should be preparing for multiple futures, flexibility planning based on skills and work, tapping into hidden workers. I know, George, we have, insist a lot about the hidden workers across the organization, that the talents, that there are talented people inside each organization, but they have some skills, but they are not visible. And this is the photo that I have chosen for an employee: uncover my hidden capacity and capability. That's very important, these two words, capacity and capability, to be uncovered by any workforce planning tool. George, what is your thoughts about that? I know that there is a lot.
I'm going to take the top one first. Preparing for multiple futures. HR professionals need to know how to utilize future planning, because when we look at the uncertainty that we have, you're not going to really use the past as a roadmap work like that. There are so many different futures out there, if you like. So the question is, how good is the HR professional scenario planning? Because you are going to have different scenarios on different ways in which external environment can change. It's time consuming because you're putting different modules together. the good thing about it is that once you've got a module in place, if things change, it's a bit like an old film. You can cut and dice it and put it in. And so if you haven't got a framework to start with, you're going to find it very. That's my first point. The second point is that when you look at future planning, do you know the skills that you have within your workforce? Most employers do not know the full extent of the skills knowledge available within their organization. So they're going to have to carry out skills audits to find out what people have left off their resumes, because they tailor their resume to the job they're have these other skills that can also be useful to the organization. You have to look at skills fade. Do people have skills? Do those skills need updating? Another area that needs to be looked at, and this is all down to HR. You know, it's yes, the line manager might highlight that they need a skill, or they don't know whether they've got it, and if they have got it, they may highlight the skills fade there. But it's down to help them to come to a solution whereby they either get to know the skills they have available to them, or the way skills fade can be eradicated. HR has a big part to play in this.
Absolutely, George. And based upon what you see, researcher recommend leaders to adopt this to unlock the full capability and capacity of their teams. So what they have highlighted here is determine what work should be performed by what workers, maintain accurate, robust data on the extended workforce, be aware of increasing amount of disinformation about workers, use skills to break down invisible barriers, work with the IT department to plan for new blend of human and digital workers, avoid anthropomorphizing AI agent, because this is something that is coming, is about AI agent as well. So they need also to
take an area where AI can play a big part, because if you get to know, if you're going to carry out skills audit, it's somewhere to actually have an idea, if you like, of who the skills that people have and who actually holds those skills, experience, and the knowledge. So there needs to be a library system. AI could be provided it's set up properly, could actually manage that information to a skill. You can put in the skill you require and retrieve information on who actually holds those skills. So that is one area that AI could be very, very useful.
Absolutely.
It depends on how it's set up and how well it's managed.
Absolutely. The workforce of the future will be, of workforce planning will be with AI, and with AI agent is very, very important, to consider for the future. No, it's a very interesting topic, and if you would like, to react, to share your experience about this article, I really recommend you, to join our conversation in my topic that I shared today in a LinkedIn post, so you can interact and share your thoughts about that. That's all about this week findings, and we will look at what's coming on in the HR news spotlight of this week. I have selected, as usual, 2 of news of this week. Is about one of them is about this layoff that's happening in HP to cut 6,000 jobs by 2028 by AI efforts. So they have said that they will, globally cut these 6,000, job due to crisis, not due to any crisis, but part of the strategic shift toward AI adoption. So, George, this is a powerful signal for us. We are not just seeing layoff, we are seeing a redefinition of work and how, for example, HP is streamlining operation, accelerating product development, and boosting productivity by integrating AI into processes. And the question is who has been laid off? What roles are being reimagined? And we can say, how should HR leaders respond when workforce reduction is framed as innovation? What is your thoughts about reaction about this? We can guide our listener about this announcement.
Well, we've seen this in organizations. I mean, this is talking about HP, but we've seen as well, and we've seen it with other organizations. By 2030, we're going to reduce the workforce through the use of AI.
Yeah.
Without knowing specifically what is going on in the minds of the leadership within those organizations, it's difficult to comment, because what jobs are we talking? What effect is that going to have on the organization if they do that? But without knowing all this, it's easy to sit back and say, well, AI is going to be cutting jobs and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
I wonder just how this is going to, how it's going to. And without that, it's very difficult to comment because we don't know the thought process.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
I think,
George,
I think we've got to be careful not to get caught up in AI is going to cut jobs. I think we have to look at AI and say, okay, how am I going to? We're talking about cutting 6,000 jobs in one company. Then I'd like to know what the ideas are behind that.
Yeah,
and which jobs we're talking about cutting.
And George, it's a fair point, because if they are cutting, so many jobs, they are also in other side creating some others, job as well. So that's not about AI is cutting, but also AI is also maybe creating some other kind of jobs that based upon the business of HP needs for the future, because they are looking at their future business. So very important, when you are looking at such news, as George said, as to look at the other side as well, that what is, the idea behind that. Maybe they are, would like, to create another, in order, to be ready for the future, another kind of business, another kind of, structure in order, to be competitive in the future. That's very important. Thank you for that. We will look, I have chosen another, news for this week. Is about the UK Parliament report that is saying that remote and hybrid work can boost employment especially for people that are parents, that are people with disabilities, some kind of workers. So George, it's a powerful reminder that flexibility isn't just a perk, but is a pathway for inclusion. So while some leaders still debate about and we have also debate about work from home, about hybrid work, this research reframes that as a strategic lever for equity and access to this hybrid and remote work. Do you agree?
Well, first of all, I know the background of this. I know why have come up with this, and about getting people off benefits and back into work.
Okay. Yes.
Well, that's not going to work anyway, because as I've already said, we've already seen a reduction in the workforce in the UK due to the other policies put forward by the UK government, which has made employment more costly. Remote and hybrid work boost employment. It's not going to boost employment if you're then making it too costly. You know, they've contradicted themselves in what they're saying to what they're actually doing, which just goes to show that the UK, certainly the politicians in the UK, have no idea when it comes to employment and business. So when I say a pinch of salt, I mean from the UK Parliament, because they've already contradicted themselves in that. Remote hybrid work, yes, it works. We know it works, but there needs to be a different thought process, not just from the employee. This business of communication, you know, I mean, 8% of our learning is on the job.
Yeah.
And it's by listening to other people and watching other people. You don't get that in a remote setting, so that has to be replaced somehow. And it's as much down to the employee to find a way of doing employer. The employee wants the development, which we certainly the younger employees, people like millennials coming through now, they all want development, but they not get the development they require if they cut themselves off into individual silos. So it needs to be managed well by both the employer and the employee to get what they want from it. And on this, I've written articles on this, and I could spend hours going into this. But that is the outline that I would give. If you're going to have remote and hybrid working, it has to be managed well. If you're going to have hybrid working, don't bring people in to just sit there. If you're going to have hybrid, for people to be able to actually communicate, collaborate, and put, you know,
absolutely.
Because if you bring them in just for the sake of it, there's no point. So from the employer's point of view, different thought process. From the employees' point of view, thought process. How do we get around this? We need the development. How would we get it? Employers don't bring people in just for the sake of it, bring them in for a reason. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just going to pick up on something that Jose has said as well, talking about how HR can have an effect on skills and knowledge and experience. He said, I don't think that HR is capable of doing this on its own. It needs line managers, and that means engaged, empowered and accountable for planning and employee development. I told you, does not manage people. Line managers manage people. HR provide the infrastructure and support for the line manager to be able to do what they need to do. That is the difference. And I'm not talking about support and going back to oh, we only do the paperwork side. I'm talking support as in you actually put the infrastructure in place for line management to be able to manage their people. That's what I'm talking about. So, Jose, you're absolutely right. Totally
Thank
agree.
you so thank you so much, George, for this, debrief of this, the news of this week. I hope that you enjoyed, this first master class of the future of work. We have, reviewed the research of this week together with George. Full of insight, powerful hour. Thank you so much, George, for this, 1 hour of learning. Don't forget, every attendees will receive a free blueprint that we have, just discussed with George today. Please just, send me a message, private message on LinkedIn. I will share with you the blueprint, the free blueprint of this session today, packed with actionable insight that was shared by researcher by us. So join us every Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. CST time, right here on LinkedIn Live together with George Kemish. We will, continue to unpack the trends, HR trends, challenge assumption, co-create the workplace of tomorrow. Mark your calendar, bring your question as well. Thank you, Jose. Thank you, everyone who joined us, and keep the conversation ongoing on LinkedIn. See you on my news later on Sunday. Have a great week. Great weekend, George. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. It's, I mean, thank you so much for putting those slides together, for the research you do. It's brilliant. And thank you to everybody that comments on your daily research, because I find that so useful, and I'm picking up so many good learning aspects from that.
Absolutely. We are learning together the future of work. Thanks you all for your support, and see you next week. Thank you. Wonderful weekend. Stay tuned.